Welcome back to Simbright Fashion Academy YouTube channel for another interesting tutorial. In this class, I'll be teaching you how to sew this beautiful shaped gown with balloon sleeves that has a band with rope tied on the elbow, as you can see, and ruffles on the sleeves. Okay, so I'll be teaching you the tips and tricks to sewing this dress perfectly well, as you can see. So if this is what you want to learn in this class, I will encourage you to stay till the end of this tutorial to learn the tips and tricks. And thank you very much for joining Simbright Fashion Academy YouTube channel every day. So stay tuned to the end of this tutorial. So we want to start up this tutorial. So for this particular dress, I'm making use of my Ankara print. So the Ankara print right here is 6 yards, but I'm going to cut out 4 yards for this particular dress. So this dress is going to have a balloon sleeve with it's going to have a rope, and then it's going to be a 3/4 length as well, with gathers on the hem, as it is right there on the thumbnail and on the video. So I'm going to cut out the bodice of this dress right now. So now, out of the 4 yards I'm going to make use of from the Ankara print, I'll go ahead and first fold the first fold. So this first fold I'm going to fold it again. So I'm folding this according to my hip circumference divided by 4. So the folded part, I brought it back again to this point which I folded. So I'm going to leave 1 inch of my zipper allowance. Okay, so I'm going to arrange this to 1 inch of my zipper allowance. So here I have 4 folds, so that is why I'm dividing my hip by 4. So when I divide what I've folded right now, I'm supposed to have my hip circumference divided by 4. My hip circumference is 46, divided by 4 is 11.5. So I'm going to add 3 inches to it. So I'm going to adjust this to my hip circumference divided by 4 plus 3 inches. Alright, so what I did now was to cut out the remaining part of the fabric, so you'll be able to see what I'm doing very well. So right here, I want you to note that what we have here is our 1 inch zip allowance. And again, I have center front and center back. So the next thing we want to do, the first thing we will do is to mark out our border line. Very important. So this border line is the starting point. So once you have started, you place your tape at that beginning and measure your chest line. So my chest line is 9 inches. I'll add half an inch. My chest line is my bust circumference divided by 6 plus 1.5. Of course, you know how to go about that. So I'm going to rule my line across it like this. This is my chest line. Next is my waistline. My waist is 17 divided by 2. 17, I'll add half an inch. That is 17.5. My hip line is 26. Add half an inch to it. And my knee line is 40. My actual knee. Just count 1, 2, 3, 4 above your knee. I have 36, but I'll mark at 36.5 for sewing allowance. So this sewing allowance, I'll just simply go ahead and highlight the line of the knee, the hip, the waist, and the chest line. So we are done with the vertical measurement. So like I said, this is the center front. So this is my zipper line. So I'm going to start up my measurement from the center front. I'm measuring my shoulder divided by 2. My shoulder divided by 2 is 15, is 7.5. My shoulder is 15 divided by 2 is 7.5. I'll simply add half an inch. That is how I got to 8 inches. So this 8 inches I have, I'll go over to the chest line. I'm going to mark that. Then on the neckline, I'll mark my neckline width of 4 inches. Then I'll drop my shoulder by 1 inch, connect it to the shoulder drop this way. Then I'm going to connect what I have here to the armhole part. So I simply get from the shoulder drop, you place your tape and get the midpoint. So here I have 4 inches. So I'll come in for my back armhole by half and my front armhole by 3/4. So I'm going to place my pattern ruler for the back and for the front this way. So once that is done, I'm going to take the measurement of my bust circumference, which is 40, divided by 4 is 10 inches. So once you mark the 10 inches, I'm going to complete the connection of the armhole for the back and for the front. So for the back one, which I went in by 0.5, I'll go ahead and connect. And for the front one, which I went in, which is deeper, by 3/4, I'm going to connect. I believe you are familiar with what I'm doing here. So I have 2 of them right here. So after that, you'll be adding your ease to this dress. So both my ease and my seam allowance, I'll add 1.5 to my bust circumference divide by 4. So it's a shift dress. I'm adding 1/2 inch to the bust and 1 inch for my seam allowance. So I'll come over to the hem, to the waist. I'll measure my waist divide by 4, which is 9. I'm going to add 2.5 inches, both for seam allowance and for ease, 2.5. My seam allowance is 1 inch and my ease is 1.5. Then I'll come over to my hip. My hip circumference is 46 divided by 4 is 11.5. I'll mark. Then I'm going to add 2.5 as well. Can you see that? So just follow the addition to the eases of this dress and you get it perfectly well. So right now I'm going to connect the ease I added and seam allowance of 1.5 to that of 2.5 on my waistline, and I'll connect. Then I'll position my ruler this way from the waist to the hip of seam allowance as well. So whatever I have here, the total measurement of what I have here, I'm going to measure it from the center front to that point, gave me 14 inches. So that 14 inches, I'll come to the hem. I'll also measure the 14 inches. So once I've measured it, I'll place my ruler straight on that 14 inches to the hip point. So note that we have all seam allowance. So here is the termination of the dress. So now I'm going to create both the back and the front neckline. So for the front neckline, it depends on how deep you want it to be. The width is 4 inches for both of them. And the back, I want to go in by 2.5 for the back, and I want to go in by 4 inches for the front. So the front is 4 by 4 and the back is 4 inches by 2.5. So I'll quickly connect the back, because we are going to connect both back and front together, just like we did on the armhole. When cutting, we'll cut from the front part. So I'll just try my best to connect the neckline. Okay, so if I cannot connect with my ruler, I'll go ahead and do what? And freehand it and use a free hand to connect it. Can you see? So for the back, I will extend it to the point of my zipper position. So now we are going to contour the back. For shift dresses or any dress that have a zipper, you need to contour it. So I just come to the waistline and extend the waistline to the zipper line. So this is that zipper line. This is the center front. I'll just highlight it. So now I'm going to take the measurement of this 1 inch. I will take 0.75 out of it. So I'll just come in by 0.75. This is it. So I'll connect it to the neckline here. So what I'm doing is contouring the back. So what we have here, we are going to take it off. We are going to take what we have here off, and we'll also highlight this into the hip line. So we'll be able to go from that 0.5 and cut off, 0.75 and cut off. So this is what I'm going to cut off. Okay, so and I'm going to add it back here. I'm going to add what I cut off. I cut off 0.75. I'm going to cut off 0.75. I'll add it back here for the back. So I've added it, and I'll place my pattern ruler. So I want to quickly explain how I replaced all of these contour line. So we took 0.75, which is 3/4 of an inch on the waistline. So that is what I replaced right here. From here to here, 3/4. And if you look at this contour line, we connected it to the neckline. So we have a little like 1/2 inch, which we are going to replace as well. So from here, I'll add 1/2 inch. So I come in with my pattern ruler. I'm going to connect that 1/2 inch to 0.75, and then I place my ruler this way and connect it to the hip line to nothing. So I'm going to cut out all the back right now. So the back, I'm going to cut this because that is part of the back. I'll go in all the outer part of it to the contour line, then we'll separate the back and cut out the front. I'm going to cut from the back. So these are my back neckline. So I'll just go in and cut all the back. So I'll go over to the back contour line. I'll trim off the contour line. So I'll just follow the back line, the chalk line, and take it off. Then I'll come over to the back armhole. So I'm cutting all back. So make sure you add your seam allowances before you cut. So once I get to the hem where we are going to attach the ruffles, I'll cut it off like this. So this is what we have for the back right now. So I'm going to lift up the front, but before that, don't forget to cut out your shoulder drop. So I'll cut my shoulder drop before I take off the back. So I'll take off the back now and then cut out the front neckline and armhole. So I'll cut the front neckline this way and then cut the armhole for the front. And then cut out the back, the side of the front. So this is what we replaced for the back, and that is what I'm cutting out on the front. So we'll now go ahead to join the front and the back dress. So the first thing I'm going to do now is to sew my zipper to the center back. So if you actually need a facing, you can face. If you want to use your bias, no problem. So I'm going to join my zipper right now and my neckline, then we'll proceed to the ruffles and the sleeve. Right now I've decided to create a facing for my neckline for the front and a facing for my neckline for the back as well. So I'll go over to my machine now to sew my zipper after sewing my neckline and top stitching on. I've fixed my zip, as you can see right here. So the next thing is to place the right side. I want to sew the shoulder seam line. So I just go ahead and sew my shoulder seam line. So this is how I'm going to sew it, the facing together, right side to right side. I'll place it very close to this and use the other facing to cover it. So I'll go over to my machine now. I'll arrange all of them, facing, fabric, stitch at 0.5 to the end. Alright, so I'm done with the neckline. I've fixed the neckline. You can see how it is. So the next thing we want to do is to join the sides. So I'm going to sew my 1 inch side to close up the side. So I'm going to close it at 1 inch to the end. So I take 1 inch, which is the seam allowance I added. So I'm going to sew it for both sides now. Then we'll go over to the ruffles. Just to sew the ruffles. So for the ruffles, I will advise you to take the measurement of what you have from one end to the other. So here I have 24. 24 multiplied by 2 will give me 48. So this 48 right now, I'm going to multiply it by another 2. That's 48 plus 48. Here I will have a 96. So 96 is approximately divided by 36, which is a yard, will give me approximately 2.5 yards. So simply come to the remaining part of your fabric of 4 yards. Remember, we had 4 yards and I used 1.5 for the bodies. So I'll just go ahead and take the measurement of the remaining 2 yards. So I'm going to cut the remaining 2 yards of my fabric right now. I'm cutting it at the length depending on where you actually want it to be. So for me, I'm cutting it at length of 13 inches. So I've cut out my 2.5 yards, which is at 13 inches length. So I'll go over and gather. I'll gather. It's unfold, so I'll just gather. Okay, so I'll have my gathers done right now. Then I'll close up right here and sew it to the down piece. Now I've attached the 2.5 yards on. I've made my ruffles and I've attached it to the down piece. So we want to cut the sleeve. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to cut the balloon sleeve. So now we want to start up the sewing of the sleeve. So here I put my fabric on fold. So this fabric I put on fold. I'm going to take the measurement from the border line. So I'll create my border line. I placed it on fold my fabric. I'm going to place my border line. So once I've created my border line, next is to take the measurement of the height of the sleeve. So I want the height of the sleeve to get to 14 inches. So but because it will have a 2 inches band, I will take it up to, I will remove the band, take it up to 12 inches. So I'll add from that 12 inches another 6 inches, including the stitching allowance. That will create the puff for us. So now this is the length, total length you desire from the border line to this point. 18 inches is enough, plus 2 inches for our cuff. So now the next thing I'm going to do is to get I'm going to mark 5 inches, which will serve as our sleeve cap. And then I'm going to place my 9 inches for the measurement of your chest line. Okay, so you are going to invert it as if you are measuring from the shoulder right now, your chest line. So our chest line normally is at 9 inches. So just mark 9 inches. Then get the midpoint of 9 inches. This is it. Get the midpoint of 5 inches. This is it. So what I'm creating here is my sleeve cap height. So I'll go ahead and connect this sleeve cap height. You can use your pattern ruler. You can also use your free hand. So I'll just go ahead and do what? And connect. So once I've connected, I'll take it again this way. So in other words, what I'm trying to say is I'm creating my sleeve. So this is the normal sleeve which we are supposed to create, but because we are going to have a little gathers to this, so I'll just take this sleeve this way. You can see I'm increasing the sleeve. So I'm going to increase the sleeve from that point. So instead of 9 inches, I'm going to increase it to 15 inches. So just from this 15 inches, just create your sleeve cuff so it will accommodate the little gathers. Then coming over to the hem, I will measure 18 inches. So just measure 18 inches for the hem and connect that 18 to the 15 inches. So that is how the sleeve is going to be. So I'll go ahead and cut this sleeve. What I'm cutting here is one sleeve. So this is where we are going to have the gathers. So by the time I gather it now, you are going to see the effect of the gather. So I will just go ahead and cut like I marked. Can you see that? So that is how your sleeve is going to look like. So don't forget to create your notch. So I'll place this sleeve right now. I'm going to place it on top of another to create 2 sleeves. So now I've cut the 2 of them. I placed one on top of the other and cut. So I'm going to make my ruffles right now, up and down. Let me do. So after gathering the up, this is what you have and this is what you have. So make sure you gather it according to what you have on your round below your elbow. So you just place your tape right here. Here I have 12 inches. So I've gathered it into 12 inches and I added 1 inch for seam allowance. So I'll just go over now and I'm going to sew the side at 1 inch. So I'll just sew and close up the 1 inch. I'll do that for both. So after joining the side, we have the sleeve. So normally without the band, I'll just go in and sew my sleeve this way. Okay, but since we have a band attached to it, I've already cut out my band, so I cut 2 of them. So the length of my band on fold is 22 inches because it's going to have a rope, so it's 22 inches. So the width of the band is 5 inches. So by the time I place it on another fold and sew, so the first thing I will do is to make a notch at the midline of the 22 inches. I'll make my notch on both sides because I'm going to use this notch as a guide. So I'm going to place it right side to right side. Okay, so this is my band and my notch. I'll just place it right side to right side. Then I'll secure it with my pin on that part. Then measure the round where I measured right now, which I got at 12 inches. So I'm going to leave that part open. So I'll measure from here 12 divided by 2. I'll mark 6 inches, then and place from there 12 inches. So where I have my marking right now, I'll leave it open to accommodate the sleeve. So I'm going to stitch close from here to here, from here to here, then turn it around. So now it's time. I'm done sewing, and I stitch from one end like I told you, from the mark like that at 0.5. So the next thing I want to do, I will create a notch on that line to the stitching line. That will enable us to turn it effectively. So make sure you create your notch. So after that is done, the next thing we do is to turn this. So to turn this, I'll advise you get a screwdriver or a loop turner. So I'll just use my screwdriver to turn it little by little. I'll do that for both ends. So I'm done turning right now. So this is what we have. So after turning, you automatically have the place you notched this way. Can you see that? So I will go ahead to sew the down piece. So I'm going to put everything I have here. I'm going to sew everything I have here into this. So I'll just sew it all around like that, okay? So I'll do that now. I started sewing the sleeve. I just want to show you how I did that. So I started from where I have the seam and the notch. Can you see that? Here is my notch and here is the seam. So I'm going to sew it from that notch to where I have the notch of 0.5. So I'll just go ahead and stitch my gathers till I get to that 0.5. I'll back stitch, then I'll come back to the notch. You can see the notch, and I'm going to sew the rest of the sleeve. So I'll sew the rest of the sleeve from that notch. So as you are sewing, so from the notch right now, I'm going to continue sewing. So I'll sew, as I'm sewing, I'll be arranging my gathers so it fits right into the sleeve, as you can see. So I'll just keep sewing till I get back to this other half an inch. So this is what I was showing you on the machine. So you have to sew the seam line this way. Where we are going to tie the rope will be at the sleeve grain line. So this is it, and this is what we have. So you can now go ahead and tie the rope after wearing the dress to the way you desire to tie. Can you see that? So now I'm going to sew this into the dress. So I'll come in with my dress and I'll open up the zip. So this particular zip does not have this particular sleeve does not have front and back. So just go ahead and insert the sleeve. So once the sleeve is inserted, you go ahead and do what? And so find the notch. So here is my notch. I'm going to sew, pin notch to notch, and pin sleeve armhole seam line to sleeve armhole seam line. So I'm going to go over to the machine now and sew around. I'll do that. So we are done with the dress right now. I've sewn the sleeve to the dress, as you can see. So that is how I'll come to the end of this tutorial, and I believe this class was helpful to you. So if you are new to this channel, please kindly subscribe, turn on your notification bell to receive videos like this every day. Like this video, share to family and friends, drop your comment on the comment section and your suggestions as well. Thank you once again. See you in the next class. Bye.